4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the Rippily Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Super excited to be with you here again for another episode today. So before we go anywhere today, I want to take a moment and really just say thank you, because what we are doing here on the Rippily Show is not just another show launch. It's something brand new, something we are quite literally building together in real time. So to everyone who has shown up, whether you are in the live studio audience, whether you are in our gallery here on the Rippily platform or over in the comments on YouTube, I just can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you. For those who have clicked on the room, who have explored, experimented, given feedback, shared ideas, or even just watched quietly from the sidelines, you are part of this, and I mean that. Because every single ripple that's happening right now is happening because people are willing to show up and say, yes, I want to see what's possible here. I also want to take a moment and really acknowledge the person who has been so literally behind everything on the Rippily platform, making this experience what it is, and that is Claudio. The level of care, intention, and thought that has gone into building this platform, into creating something that isn't just functional, but actually experiential. Something that is really, really special. I know special, even most of all to those of us that are here today. And we are not just using a platform, we are helping to shape it. We are giving feedback, testing ideas. We are stretching what's possible inside Rippily, and we are going to explore some of that on the Rippily Show today. But that means that we are not just users here. And this is a reminder to everybody that we are part of the foundation. We are forging a new path. We are changing what shows look like these. We are changing what community looks like and really what connection looks like. And we're going to talk about that on today's show as well. So whether you're here for the first time or you've been with us since the beginning, I want to welcome you officially. You are in the right place. And without further ado, let's dive in. So I want to bring on someone that person that I just happened to mention a few minutes ago. We're going to get some updates, and we're going to have a lovely conversation this afternoon. And so without further ado, please put your hands together for the creator of Rippily himself, Claudio Perrone.
Yay. Hi, what a presentation. Oh my gosh. I have nothing to say now. Like,
I should have brought my button out. I have my whole beep, 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 the amazing button. So there's been lots going on behind the scenes of Rippily this last week, even. I feel like I was wondering when we started the show, I was like, are we going to have enough to talk about each week? But we always have to rein it in a little bit because there is so much. So tell us what have some of the updates been that you've been working on? I know a lot of performance optimization, but there's been a bunch. Why don't you take the lead here?
Honestly, you will have to remind me because I completely forgot. I've been building so many things. Definitely, there's been a lot of work on performance Also, I've been doing like a lot of audits, like security audits. So working through some of the top. I mean, I won't go even like to technical terms, but basically to go some of the top potential problems that hackers may take advantage of. Um, yeah, that actually is most of what I remember. But maybe you can. I mean, I'm definitely I've been working as well on something that will come really soon, which is grouping things in a certain way to enable basically to protect ripples inside the wave. But this will come next, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Looking forward to that for sure. Because I know that the structure is so important for having that part ready when it comes to launching the platform as a whole. I know that you've worked on version history. That was one
Oh yeah.
thing. You want to
Yeah.
talk about that?
So personally, history again, it happened because someone mistakes were made, let's say, and someone completely reset a room by replacing it with another, and says, "Oh, what did I do? What did I do?" And it turns out I did have backups. I always have the latest three, anyways. But basically, I baked in a much more version history basically built in, which is not like every time you save there is a new version. It kind of is, but then it gets to be cleaned up so that every day you would have maybe a save every 2 hours, and then for the last week you have it every day. Something like that, right? Where you can always somewhat save some of the information that you had before.
Yeah. Yeah. So we love that, a little bit of protection, because sometimes, we make mistakes as
Yeah.
when we're building rooms, we forget something. And so it's nice to be able to roll that back. And for people who do need help along the way, you just launched the help center on the
That
website.
is true. I mean, this is kind of a little experiment. Basically, I run some agents to go through the code and generate help. So it's not really, it's actually, I mean, it does show details that I completely forgot about, like name of certain variables, system variables, and things
Mm,
like that. So definitely it's something I've been I will be looking for feedback, but it's something, it's a good starting point, let's say. And then at some point it will evolve over time. And again, it's just to, have some reference. And of course, we are providing help like in many different ways, right? There is the show to get the news. There is the Rippily Dive every Saturday, again, where we go deep. Um, there is introductions to Rippily, something Peggy, for example. I've been writing some videos. Others as well, they are adding videos, and in the future as well, I want to add what we normally know as the Blue Cat lessons. So
mm,
basically, individual lessons on very specific parts that I want to, introduce for
yeah.
sure.
It's going to be exciting. And I know you did mention as well when it comes to help, because Peggy and I were chatting about this before the show, that you can go into the Rippily Central, and there's some beginner instruction there as well that will take you through some, how do you set up a room? How do you bring in a background like you see here, or, include some of the features that are, both necessary and fun when you're building a room. And so those videos, or those ripples are there to help you in the Rippily Central as
Yeah.
well, right?
I mean, and the other thing is like there are several communities. If you have questions, there's a lot of people ready there, like to help. So it's always good, right? Because this is we are really in the early days, and but yet so much is happening, and so it's good to to have everyone to help in some way.
Right. Absolutely. It's so the chat over here on Rippily talking about, I love the new Peggy Rippily Central videos. Let's explore Rippily Central. Rippily Central has some great resources, but also, like you said, and Stacy was alluding to this in the chat as well, about how this is a community and so many of us are on here. Our offices are open. You could just, if you see us in Discovery, you could pop in and say hi. And so a lot of people that are always willing to help. And I love that about us here. It's amazing.
Yep.
So I know you also, another little thing, when you copy and paste a room link to someone in a chat, for example, it'll pull up the preview
Yeah,
of the Ripple as well. So that's fun to not just
yeah,
have
that's
text.
yeah, it's called an open graph basically. So something when you paste into some social media, you will see the snapshot. It's yeah, basically that's what happens. You get the ripple. If you don't have any card for the ripple, we'll get the wave. But basically, you're going to get like a little image and the description of the ripple itself.
Right.
And I think another thing that I remember is maybe something that you've been using on the show right now, which is
Yes.
the ability with the control panel, with the command panel, to enable the seat numbers as well as assigning people to a specific seat. This is dynamic. It's not yet, like a ticketing kind of system where someone comes with a ticket number, but definitely helps moderators to do this work, right? Maybe you can show that. I see you have it there.
Yes, I am showing it now. So when I go to :DN, I just took the numbers back away, but you can do :DN and it brings the numbers of the seat up and the extra, because I want to tell you guys that Claudio never does the bare minimum. I just want you all to be highly aware of this. Okay. So I thought we were just getting the numbers. And then he said, but wait, there's more, just like the most perfect 2 a.m. infomercial, guys. Okay. And so you can go :DM. You can start to type the person's name. Notice how I'm typing just Jess there, not even my whole name. And then I'm putting seat 30. And look at me move over there. What? What? Let me try that again. Okay, let's do DM, Jess, and then we'll do 33 and move on the other side of the room. Look at that, everybody. It's very exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
and I guess, you get excited easily, I see, but, it can be really useful because sometimes, especially for presenters or, there are maybe some special seats where you need to place certain guests maybe on particular places. I know, for example, on the Rippily Show, I am on seat number 3. That's
Yes.
it. That's my seat. And I actually on the Stream Deck, because now we have this command, I have a button that actually puts me on seat number 3 whenever I want.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's pretty
amazing. I mean, and it seems like, okay, it's something to be silly about, but I agree with what Peggy said in the chat, which is that this is gold for moderators. Usually when we are moderating or we are running an event, we are focused on so many things. And so it just makes our lives so much easier, especially if we have a situation like the Ripley Show, where all of our guests in the studio audience who get tickets have an assigned seat number. And so to just be able to bring them in right from the gallery, it's perfection, guys. So good. So good. All right. So that's a lot of our updates that we have going on. I know that one of the things that we wanted to talk about today on the show, and I would love to hear your perspective on this, is the illusion of connection. And I think for a lot of people, social media, as it has been for years, is starting to feel empty. It's starting to feel, you feel that disconnection. And I know one of the thoughts I've had is like, look, I've got thousands of friends, quote unquote, on social media, but who do I actually know? And so, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, look, I actually one thing I've done as well was to update the website, and by the way, I want to publicly thank everyone who is leaving testimonials right now. You're great. That to me is also what feels like connection. But I wrote exactly this kind of idea, right? You can scroll past 1,000 people and still feel nothing, right? And so this kind of idea that we have in social media, right, is I don't know, like we communicate constantly. We do, right? We scroll, we react, we put comments, but at the same time, I think like a lot of people still feel disconnected, and so that's the illusion of connection. It's not the real thing at all, and I think it's because like a lot of these platforms are focusing on retention. And it's not that Ripley wouldn't focus on retention. Okay, there is still retention for sure, but it's definitely not. The goal is not belonging. You don't belong to anything there. And Jessica, actually, you sent me an article from Gary V. So like he was basically was saying that social died 4 years ago, and he moved from social to, I can't remember exactly how he called it. Was it attention? Was it something like that? Anyways,
Yeah.
interest, maybe interest media. That's what it was, right? And basically, interest media optimizes for what you like. So basically, I like table tennis. I will see like a lot of videos, I guess, on table tennis. I don't care who is actually posting the videos. I'm not even following who's posting those videos, right?
Right.
So we are actually following interest.
Mm,
And in a way, you could say, well, if you're in that kind of field, it doesn't matter if you have like 1 million followers, you can still have like your video viral. On the other hand, even if you have your video viral, well, the next day you're back to square one. So I think what's also happening is that a lot of people are writing less, and it's
mm,
not just because AI just gave the killer shot, I guess, because now basically it's infested by AI generated content, but people are actually posting less. And again, I want to go back to this idea of belonging. I think one way, and I think people actually who've been in Rippily or similar platforms, they definitely have a different sense of what belonging means, and also the realization that whatever the technology, without the people inside, there's no belonging, right? This technology, even Rippily, like it is what it is because of the people who are inhabiting it, who are living in
right.
it, right?
Right.
This is not just visiting, we're hanging together.
Mm,
We're talking about the other day about some people who would go to an event, and then immediately after the event, they would hang out in some other community, right? Some other
right.
ripple. Well, that's part of it. That's part of
Yeah.
belonging, right? It's a kind of interesting signal to me.
Yeah.
So I have a question, which is basically, it's a simple test, I would say, but would someone notice if you were gone?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's a great test, and it's something that we've talked about in the Breakthrough Show Network community as well before, where a lot of times on social media, if someone stops posting, I may not even see their posts all the time because of the algorithm, or I'm just not, maybe I'm not on there as much or whatever, and I wouldn't necessarily notice. I notice when someone hasn't been on Ripley in a while. I notice because especially if I'm talking to them at least a couple times a week, or I'm used to seeing them at a certain event, whether it's coming to the show or the dive. If they don't come, my mind starts to like, are they okay?
Yeah.
So what's going on?
And I get that as well. This week, as you know, there's been a lot of stuff going on as it does.
Hmm.
And I got a lot of people asking me, are you okay? Is everything okay? But I think to me, this sense of belonging, like, it's hard to capture, like, in a way. You need to live it, right? In a way.
Right,
But I figured that a real community needs memory, a place, repeated presence, something to return to,
right,
you know?
right. Some of the comments as well in the chat right now, comments are not connection, engagement not connection, likes are not connection, collecting
Yeah.
friends does not equal community. Yeah, there's a lot of, Keith was talking about, there's a lot of clickbait for people. Claudio loves clickbait, by the way, guys.
Oh,
And so
I'm a sucker for it. Just say half a sentence in my office or in your office.
done. Get it there. Love it.
And it's
And
not about,
everybody's,
you see, the thing I want to add though is not
yeah.
about how many people show up.
Hmm.
I was talking to Frank. I know it's going to be like today, actually, I think, right?
Yes.
Did I anticipate something? But really, like, he was part of a major event that happened in his organization, and we were looking at the data, And it was interesting because the data didn't say how many people showed up.
Mm.
It was about where did the world came alive,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And
So we were
everybody's
using,
loving.
yeah, so you can use absolutely chats and everything, but
Yeah.
connected to that kind of event, you can see, well, how many participants were there right then, how many conversations were going on, right? So you had like a lot of activity in that sense, right?
Right.
So
Right. And even in, we've talked about before with this show, for example, we have a lot of different experiences happening simultaneously here. We have those of us that are having the experience of being on the show. We're on the stage. You're going to see Peggy and Frank coming up here shortly. We have our amazing people over in the studio audience, which you're going to get to see in a moment here. And then we also have our friends over in the gallery, which if I click on the people tab, which you guys can't see here right now, but if I click on the people tab, I could see everybody, the participants, those in the gallery, and then we have everybody that's over on YouTube as well. So it's like there's all of these different experience points that we can, but we're all in this together. No matter how we're participating, we're all together. And to me, that's what makes something really magical, is that we're all here at the same time, which is fun. I love it. Quality over quantity. A lot of people were saying that they loved your comment about something to return to. And that's true. Like I think even with the shows that we do on like this on the Breakthrough Show Network, there's a lot of times where we'll get into a really hefty topic on a show. And then my thought from the beginning was, what happens after that? Do we just talk about it and then that's it? We never hold each other accountable. We never have a deeper conversation about it. We never meet up and, just about anything with the show. And so I think about how important communities are like this to people who are putting content out into the world, because it allows you to go to that next level with the content. I think
I
it's
also
important.
want to maybe add this aspect, right? People they seem to be obsessed by, how many followers. And
Mm,
I keep saying it may be one person is the right person. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, right? And
yeah.
so, I mean, there is a lot to be said about providing environments that facilitate that conversation. For
Yeah.
example, again, returning to Frank, I don't know what he's talking about, so I hope I don't steal his thunder, right? But we had basically a post conference chat. And since we started talking, it wasn't only himself, there were 4 or 5 of us. And we started talking about AI.
Mm,
So it was so predictable that we would talk about AI that another person, I think Julie, she switched to a scene that actually was AI. Was about AI. Basically, you would
right.
have a sort of a cyborg looking at a futuristic sky, sky and whatever.
Yeah.
And so we kept talking. After a few minutes, I asked a question, and I asked, since we had autonomy on how we could switch back to a scene, I said, how many of you are back into the lawn? I think it was a lounge. Anyways, like a place where you would have like
Yeah.
furniture around and whatever. How many people are still in the AI scene, and how many people went back? We
Mm.
all went back. We all went back. So we actually did a deliberate action to
Yeah.
move back to a place that we felt comfortable, that was enabling the kind of conversations that we had.
Right.
So it's interesting to see once again how the environment and having this kind of autonomy as well, like, helps to, for us, like, to get to a different kind of conversations.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any final thoughts on this topic that you want to leave with our audience today?
No thoughts
That's
at
it.
all. I thought enough.
Mic drop, everybody. All right, we're gonna say hi to Claudio again in just a few minutes, but we're gonna bring my friend Peggy MacArthur up to the stage right after this. Peggy MacArthur is here, everybody.
Yay! And let me just say, like, I loved that conversation with Claudio. I was just like setting on my hands so I didn't unmute and join in. I was so excited.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, while Peggy's here, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll in the chat right now. Peggy, you want to tell everybody what our question is today?
How well do you feel you understand variables in room design? So if you're out there designing rooms, are you using variables, and how well do you feel like you understand them? Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one.
This is a good one. We have been doing, we started a 3-part series, if you will, on variables in the Rippily Dive, which we have, as you saw in the little ad before this, we have every Saturday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern or a.m. Eastern time. And there's 3 different types of variables that are available for us within Rippily. And we started with those Boolean variables last Saturday, and it's super exciting to see. I'm excited to see what everybody is going to do with them, because like, obviously we give examples in the dive, but we don't always get to see what happens afterwards. I'm excited to see what happens after with it.
And I might add that you do such an amazing job. It's almost like you're an educator and a teacher, because you know, they're a bit long, but they're so good. And I think sometimes I'm like, oh, I know this, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. That was like. So if you have not had an opportunity to come to the deep dive on Saturdays and start playing, don't feel like it's going to be too much. Just jump in, because Jessica will walk you through. Now, we are in a 3-part series, so if you want to come this week, you should jump on and grab the recording and work through the first one, so you're caught up with us. But I really, like, don't ever feel like, oh, that's too complicated for me, because she lays it out in such an amazing way. So thank you, Jessica, for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really think that there's so many concepts coming into, this idea of building waves and building ripples and immersive experiences for people that I never thought in a million years that I would understand. And so I really just realized, if I do this, if I break it down in a simple way for myself, then I can understand it better and keep it up here, instead of learning it then forgetting about it 5 minutes later. So I try to teach in the same way that I learned, which is I need to break things up into pieces, which is why sometimes it's a little bit longer. But I think people keep the information.
No, they do. And I want to add something slightly off topic. People in the chats are saying the link. So can we talk about how Rippily works?
Yes, go tell us.
So all you need to do is go to your dashboard and go to Discovery. And there, there's a big banner that talks about today's show, and you can click on that and it'll take you right here. But it'll also show you what events are going on. And also you can go straight into Rippily Center. That is always the first top left wave there. Go into Rippily Center and you will see where all of the things happen. You will see the tutorials, you'll see examples, you'll see all the fun stuff, and click around and start getting to know that. But all you need to know is times, because all you have to do is go to your dashboard and you're going to find the deep dive. So it is at 8:30 Central Time, Saturday morning. And but just come explore, use that discovery button to see what's going on, because there's always fun things going on. So yes, we need links, but also just use Rippily, because Ripply's made it so easy for us to discover each other and the main shows that are going on in Rippily Central.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just talking about a couple meetings this morning with a couple of my hosts over on the Breakthrough Show Network, and we were talking about just how magical that Discovery tab is, because you can see what's going on and you can see who's hanging out where and go like, oh, I see 6 people going to do this. And if it says open, I'm in. I'm coming. I'm coming to hang out, which is fun. It's fun to have people coming in and checking things out. And it's so fun because I have my webhooks set up, which is a topic that we will talk about probably next month. But so I get notifications when people come and visit my spaces. I wake up in the morning. I don't know what you people are doing at night other than sleeping. But I wake up in the morning and I'm like, everybody's been hanging out in my spaces. What are they doing?
I feel the same way. I get so excited when I see people were at the plaza or people were at the co-working or people were at the, I'm like, oh, look, they came and snooped around. I love it when people come and snoop around at my stuff. And I love it when people leave notes in the chats. I love popping in a room and going, oh, well, hello there.
Yes, we love that. We love that. All right. So should we get the results of our poll?
I think we should.
What did we get here? Let's see. Let's see.
I didn't vote in this poll, but I think I would have voted for exactly the one that won.
Okay, the number one answer. How well do you feel you understand variables in room design? The number one answer is I'd say I'm a work in progress. So I love that. I love that we didn't get a whole lot of but I don't want to. We didn't get any, but I don't want to. I don't want to know about it. So that's good news. We had a couple. I don't know what the one in the world is a variable. So we'll have to. There's more coming on that. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. We had one that said they're a total pro. Any guesses who that might have been?
Any guesses who that might be? I don't know, Claudio. I get that you designed this, but you better watch out because Jessica may pass you in use cases.
It could happen. It could happen. Love that. Love that. So next week, as we were talking about on the Rippily Dive, this coming Saturday, we're going to be moving on to the next set of variables. We worked on Boolean variables, which is kind of that if this happens, then this happens, true and false, if you will. And next week, we're going to work on the number variables, counting with numbers. So all you have to do is go back to when we were in school, know how to count, and it's easy peasy, I promise. So good. So we're gonna have some fun with that on Saturday. I know that we have another friend visiting us today, and I'm very excited to have him on the show today. We're going to invite Claudio back on as well. But I think we're going to do the ocean report because we had a really, really amazing event that happened recently on Rippily. So without further ado, let's bring back Claudio Perrone and Frank Parker. Welcome, guys. All right. So Claudio experienced zero stress during this event. I just want to say, and there, we had the most people. This was the biggest event that we've had on Rippily so far. Frank, do you want to tell us about what the event was and why it was so amazing?
Well, this was the Sententia GamerCon 48V. It's a 48-hour conference that runs 48 hours consecutively. It's an international conference, so it starts on the East Coast and moves around the clock in 6-hour blocks. At our peak, we had 154 people, and then we started moving around the clock, and obviously some people went to bed and had to wake up at different times. It's a great event. 55 presentations. We had experiential presentations, we had lectures, we had gameplay. It was places for people to come and simply play games. There were places for people to engage in professional development, as well as listen to some great experts in the area of gamification. So that's the general issue. Sententia is concerned about coordinating and bringing together professionals in gamification and adult learning from around the world. And this was an event to do that.
I love it. That's so exciting. And I imagine that being able to do an event like that on a platform like this that is so immersive is game changing. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had experience with other platforms. We knew Remo as an example. All of us have looked at that. We played with other platforms in between. We've been on Go Brunch. And so Rippily became a natural extension of that because it had elements that were far more attractive to us because it supports a community of practice and allows us to begin to think about a space that has persistence. You know,
Right.
we have built something called Sententia World. And at Sententia World, we have the conference center this year called the Imaginarium. The Imaginarium will leave, but Sententia World will always be there and a place to drop in, a place to come and tinker, a place to get certified, a place to simply gather with folks and network. And it's seen as a permanent place and therefore supports community development. That's kind of the idea. The conference is a special event at Sententia World. Now we also do the events face to face, but this is our virtual experience, and so it's a very, very different kind of an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rippily is a perfect platform for sustaining that kind of work.
Can I say something? Can I
Yeah.
say something? Because you
Be
said
careful.
something, Frank, that was really important. There's some platforms that, you can build something for an event and then it goes away, or it's happening as long as you're there. But you've built a whole world that's going to live forever. And as long as you keep it there, and people can come and go and people can, interact with it all the time. And I think that's something that just really sets Rippily apart, is that it's a living ecosystem.
There's something
Absolutely.
to return to. Yeah.
It's something
Exactly.
to return to.
Claudio said that earlier. And as I'm beginning to say, it's a world to inhabit. So that it shifts our sense, at least in gamification, from the idea of participation and engagement has been the big target words, to now thinking about a world to inhabit, a place to inhabit. And so we're looking at persistence in a very, very different way. So this whole platform has opened up maybe new possibilities. I think we're on the verge of creating something new in the domain of social media that we've not had before. Communities of practice are great learning spaces. We forget that. Those of us who are part of the Rippily experience have been a part of the Brunch Hacker community of practice that led to this. And so it's like moving from one community to a larger community. It's been an absolute, growth experience in a sense. So Sententia is attempting to see what can we do to break into that. So now we're talking about not attending a conference, making sure we have the right schedule, but do we have the right hosting process going on? What kinds of skills around hosting? We can be very efficient. In fact, with this particular platform, we made big mistakes around navigation because we borrowed from traditional navigation. So that meant we put buttons up to go places and not notice that people were clicking on doors because the door was the natural thing to go through.
Yes.
It's just, we were living in two worlds. There was the world of Sententia with real doors, and then there was the world of UI, then those kind of mechanisms. So we realized that human beings inhabit. And so we even inhabit the digital world by looking for the places to punch like buttons. So there's some retraining that has to happen, but we're anxious to explore it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Frank, because a lot of what we're going to talk about in the month of April on the Rippily Show are those sort of design practices as we talk about what is natural for a user to do. And we think about, we're in an immersive experience, we go through the door, that's sort of like a natural thing for us to think about. And we'll always have the people, I think, that are looking for buttons. And so, Claudio, you were actually talking a little bit yesterday about breadcrumbs and things like that, and like sort of guiding the user experience. I would love for you to chime in, one, because like I said, you were not stressed out at all about this huge event coming on Rippily in beta. And so I'd love to share your perspective on that, but also what Frank's talking about, I'd love to have you chime in on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there is a sense of responsibility, right? When you're creating a big event for an organization, it's not just my reputation, it's their reputation. So there's always that sense of responsibility, especially at the time where, we're really learning things and learning how these things work together. Let's not forget Sententia, like basically all of us have been pioneering this platform, okay? Every time we're breaking new records. And so this is quite incredible. So yeah, was I stressed? Absolutely. Did I sleep? Not really. I must say that when at 4:30 a.m. my time, Frank sent a message with a problem solved, which was awesome. I can't thank you enough, Frank, because basically you went through, there were like, I think there were 35 moderators. I mean, that was big, right? There were a lot of moderators.
Yeah.
Training, so it wasn't a normal event, right, in any form. But Frank, of course, like knowing the platform together with Julie, but basically like knowing the platform better than anyone else, like has been like incredible at the time where I needed him the most. Let's say this. But then the other part that I love about the conversation that we're having, if you go to the website right now, you will see there is one term, inhabit. That's not coincidence that Frank has been talking about that, because you are influencing, the way I'm thinking a lot. And, I think a lot in the community are influencing the way I'm developing things. This kind of idea of inhabiting something like a place, it's something that I feel strong about, and I know is something that Frank absolutely feels strong about. And so we often talk about patterns, and intentional design, all those kind of ideas. That's what I love, actually, where we have our conversations, Frank. They're not just theoretical, but we're trying to extract what is the system around this. Yeah. People are behaving in a certain way. Why is that, and what can we learn at a more general level so that we can bake it in maybe for the future and future generations?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier this notion of spaces that are alive, which is, you were influenced the same way I'm influenced by Christopher Alexander in architecture, who talked about what are the qualities of spaces that are alive. And one of the most important spaces for Sententia was our networking room. We built this huge networking room that could accommodate 120 people, all able to go to tables. You remember Remo? You could sit around on tables and everything. But our tables were audio isolated, because you understand Rippily and know that we can now do that. And so we said, this is going to be the greatest networking situation you've ever seen. People can pop from table to table and interact and have fun. We did not have anyone in that experience the whole time. That is not where they were hanging out. So we discovered, there's more to the design than having nice, clever tools. It's that what's also involved in this that's critical. And one feature is there were no human beings there to host. That was just a simple issue. People weren't there. And so part of the environment is other people that we sometimes forget. So it's been interesting to make that discovery again.
Love it. I love it. It's so exciting to see all of the amazing things that are, to borrow from a friend of ours, Jamie Rich, are emerging on on Ripley, and but also these sort of side conversations, these side benefits that we're learning about. We're all learning to how to have a community in a new way. This is sort of new territory, I think, for a lot of us, and speaking of JB Rich, there he is over in the chat. Thank you for that. And so I love seeing what's happening here. I would love for everybody that is in the studio audience today. So we're going to head over to our studio audience. Do you have one sentence? One sentence. I'm looking at some of y'all here, and I know some of us could be a little long-winded. One sentence that you could share. Raise your hand about how Ripley has impacted your life so far. One sentence. Raise your hand if you have some. Oh, Leah's first. Okay, Leah, you can unmute first and share with us, how has Ripley impacted your life so far?
So I've been able to meet people on here.
Very exciting. Thank you, Leah.
I've also been able to help people make things.
I love it, and she has, and it's been fun. It's been fun. Well done, Leah. Well done. Anybody else have a comment? Let's see, Susan.
Ripley co-working has helped me get stuff done that I've been putting off for eons, and it's just nice to have the support of other people to get stuff done.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Susan. All right, Stacy.
Ripley is where my coworkers live. Ripley is where my coworkers live when I need them. I know they're there, and I know I can find them no matter where they're at in there. I don't have to have a particular link.
Love that. I love that. Thank you, Stacy. Shadows.
Unlike on social media, I will be social on Ripley.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Shadows. All right. Miss Debbie, Coach Jeter, what do you have for us today?
So Ripley has reminded me that I'm in business for myself, but not by myself, because we empower and we enrich the lives of each other.
Love, love. Thank you. Thank you. Artemis.
Ripley has given me the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of really great people who have helped me define my path and really find out what my superpower is, and the community that you can always count on.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, you guys. Amazing. Teresa.
And the thing about the community here is it really matters. You feel heard, listened to. You feel that you do matter, that if you did end up missing, you would be missed. That's the community here. We love each other.
Love it. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you for Go ahead, Claudia.
Jessica, can you confirm these were not prepared?
They were not prepared.
No. Seriously.
It was
awesome.
completely on the fly. Well done. Well done, everybody. And, that's part of the amazing thing about having our live studio audience here on the Ripley Show, because we can hear from you guys every now and then and get to hear your voices and really bring in this new concept of how we are creating new community here on Ripley. And so very thankful for all of you who have chosen to be in our studio audience with us today. We appreciate you all very much. And thank you, Frank, for being here on the show today. I put the information in the Ripley chat, and I will do it after the fact over on YouTube for Sententia if you guys want to find out more information there. Where can we find you? If we see you online on Ripley, where are you usually hanging out, Frank?
I will likely be, I'm likely to be at Sententia working in there. In fact, I'll put that up. You can generally catch me there. In my own area called Listening for Candor, I do a lot of work with a special new project we're working on. And now I'm working on a jazz project here. Since I'm now moved to New Orleans, we're going to begin to gather a space to start interviewing some of the older musicians and build a library of conversation around that, and maybe begin to link up the elder musicians with some of the younger ones. So this is part of a new project we're working on. So you'll hear more about that. So you're likely to find me in those building spaces. You can discover them, and we're all open.
Very exciting. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Thank you. Peggy, any final words for us today?
What an amazing show. This has been so fun. I just love this. I love all the conversation about community and the tools that allow us to actually show up and be community, because community is the people using the tools, but the tools provide us an easy way to connect and you know, it's one of those like if and like you have to also and working with Rippily has just been so amazing. And Claudio, I know you hear it all the time, but we all love you and we think you're a freaking genius. And we are so happy that you've created this amazing tool that things like this can happen so easily too. And again, I want to encourage people, like go build, go play with it. It is easier than one could imagine. It really is.
Love it. I love it.
Claudio really concentrates on user experience, and we appreciate you for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Claudio, final words. Yes.
Yeah. So the thing about this is we need to keep observing. I'm going to use a complexity theorist kind of approach, right? And the idea there is in complexity, you may not understand what is the root cause that enables or creates problems or that enables particular behaviors. But I'm really, really interested in this idea that we can observe what works and do more of that, observe what doesn't work, do less of that. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's keep our antennas. My antennas are always up, right? I'm trying to see, why or how a certain community is behaving, why it's behaving that way. Let's make those observations. If we want more of that, let's observe it. And if I can, I will add as much as I can to help have more of that. That's the idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being here today. What an incredible show this has been. So exciting. And this is exactly what we mean when we say that this is more than just showing up. We truly are creating something amazing here together in community. So thinking, okay, I see what's possible, but how do I actually start building this? For those of you that are already on the Rippily platform, that is what the Rippily Dive is for. Join us every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And this Saturday, we're going to continue that 3-part series on variables. And these are the moments when things really start to click, when you start to learn little things and see what is possible. So I want to remind you to keep showing up, keep exploring, keep building. Come back for the month of April for the Rippily Show, where we'll dive into that user experience, design principles, and see how far we can take things here on Rippily. Come join us as we continue to experience what's possible. I'm Jessica Dugas. We'll see you again next week, 12 p.m. Eastern time, for another episode of the Rippily Show. There it is, everybody.
Yay! What a great show.
And so, Laura,